Welcome to the Moulin Rouge.
My name is Cimino, and I'm the makeup designer for Moulin Rouge the Musical. We're gonna do the Zidler makeup look on Dylan today. Zidler is kind of like the ringmaster of the Moulin Rouge. He's definitely a showman. So for this look, I kind of think of it as his performance look. So I'm gonna start off with a little bit of strobe cream, just as a base layer. So we're gonna move on to paint stick as the start of the base. I'm gonna go light and sort of broken up highlights around Dylan's skin. And then we're gonna blend with a brush. How far in advance do you know if you're gonna go on as a swing or an understudy?
30 minutes in advance is what I would hope for. I've definitely received the text on the train.
Wow. And how many roles do you cover?
5.
So you just have to be ready at a moment's notice. In some of my research, I came across these vintage magician posters, and I was also really drawn to this image of Marcel Marceau, where he's got his full mime makeup on, but it's kind of smudgy and disintegrating, and it felt like a really good inspiration for Zidler, who throughout the show is just trying so hard to keep up the appearance that everything's fine and fantastic in the theater, but in reality, he's kind of on this precipice of losing everything. So once that's well blended, I'm gonna take Shivering White, which is a translucent white powder, and I'm gonna set the cream. And this also gives another texture to the makeup. So we're moving on to the eyeliner, and we're gonna use Black Track Look Up, and we're gonna do a really heavy line under his eye. Now we're gonna set the liner with a shade called Shadowy Lady. And this kind of gives a little bit of a purple dimension, and we kind of smoke out the line a bit. And I'm gonna add this shade Now Close onto his eyelid. So moving on to the brows, Danny Burstein, who typically plays Zidler, he's first of all legendary, and second of all, he has the most incredible facial hair. So he has a really robust mustache and goatee. Dylan doesn't have that today, but to go with the facial hair that Danny usually has, we draw on these very theatrical eyebrows. So we're gonna do that on Dylan today. And we're gonna create a really exaggerated, kind of sinister brow. I think an eyebrow always makes a look come to life. We create a base that's kind of like worn in, a little bit disintegrating, not too perfect. I think the imperfection kind of makes the makeup. So moving on to blush, we're gonna go in really with a strong, bright pink blush. It's one of my favorite lines in the show. Zidler tells Satine she's really not well, and they're kind of on the brink of losing everything. His solution is really just add a little more rouge. And it's a really beautiful sentiment. So I feel like the blush is a really important element in his character. So we're really gonna go for it and relax your cheeks. And we're gonna do a really heavy, kind of, again, loose and imperfect application. Do you find when you get into makeup as an actor that it really changes things for you?
Certainly for Zidler.
Yeah. Onto the lip, we're gonna take a little bit of red cream, and this is meant to just be a stain. And a little bit on the nose. And for some finishing touches, we're gonna take a little bit of a silver right at the inner corner, a touch on the tip of his nose, touch on his forehead, as well as finish with the Luna cream color base just on the higher planes of his face. And this just gives one extra texture, and it really captures the light so beautifully. So there you have it. This is how we create the Zidler look for Moulin Rouge Broadway.
And if I may, a bit more rouge.